On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a win in Summer League against the Golden State Warriors. How did Dereck Lively do? How did Omax do? What happened to Jaden Hardy? Mike Miles steps up. We got the Grant Williams trade is official. So much stuff on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks, NBA champions? Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Let it ride. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad. Be an everydayer. Subscribe or follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. Give me one takeaway from the Mavs Summer League game against the Warriors. Even if you saw some highlights, give me a takeaway. Give me something that you saw. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us straight to your phone on Mavs rumors and all kinds of stuff. You can text me and Isaac directly. You can subscribe to our subtext, click the link in the description, or text the number in the description below. Summer League win. We still let it ride. A win is a win. There were less than the ideal number of wins last year, so we've got to just appreciate the wins when they come, no matter what Mavericks are wearing the jersey. So much stuff today. We'll talk about Jaden Hardy's struggles. We'll talk about Mike Miles stepping up. We'll talk about the two rookies. They had great big impacts. The Grant Williams trade is officially official today, so we got a couple of clarifying things on that, including what were the 2 second-round picks the Mavericks got in that deal. We know what they are now. I was confused. Now I'm not anymore. I got some number changes for the Mavericks, and maybe I'll get to the new rules today. There's just a lot of stuff all the time. Nico Harrison spoke during the second quarter of the Summer League game. He said a couple of things. One thing I thought was really interesting about a Mavericks center. We'll talk about that. And yeah, maybe I'll get to the new rules that we were supposed to get to yesterday, and maybe we'll do it today. But I want to start here. Mavs get the win, 98-96, in the incredible overtime Elam ending. They need to do every game Elam ending in Summer League. I just love it. Some people may hate it. I saw Chuck Cooperstein complain about the Elam ending in Summer. But if it's Summer League, an Elam ending means you always have a game-winning shot. It's always like end on a make. And I love that. And I love that about Summer League. So it's tied, 90-90 at the end of regulation. You only have to score 7 more points to win. And so the first team that scores 7 points in overtime wins. And the Mavericks were the first one to do that. They scored 8 points, but the first team to eclipse that wins. Loved it. That was great. It shortens the ending. They should end all games, not just in overtime, but regulation. Summer League should all end in Elam ending. Just give them a target score and let's go. The 2 things that really stood out to me in this game were Hardy struggles, and we'll get to that. We'll get to those in a second. But Omax Prosper, I'm starting with him. I'm starting with Omax. He was awesome in this case. 17 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, a steal, only 1 turnover, 3 fouls. Only 3 fouls. Let's put it that way, because fouls were being thrown all over the place. AJ Lawson had 6. Hardy had 7. Dereck Lively had 5. Fouls were being thrown all over the place. Reggie Perry of the Warriors had 9 fouls in this game. Lester Quinos, I just butchered his name. Sorry, bro. 7 fouls for him. There's just so many fouls being thrown around in this game. For Omax to only have 3 stood out to me a lot. But the thing what I talked about with Omax, Olivier-Maxance Prosper, can he do some other stuff? Can he do some stuff off the dribble? We know that he's going to be a good defender. He's really long. He uses his length really well on defense. He's super smart. He's very mature for his age. Rafael Barlow talked about how he thought he was the most mature player in this draft. He's all those things. And we know that his 3-point shot is okay, and we're waiting for it to come around. He hit 3 of 5 in this game, and the 3-ball looked really good. I was concerned after seeing it in person when I was at Summer League and watched the first 2 games, when I was at practices leading up to Summer League, when I saw practice, their first practice in Summer League when I watched Omax. I thought that his shot was a little slow. It looks a lot more fluid in the games. I don't know if it's just the momentum of the rush of energy in the game, but his shot looks more fluid in games than it did in practice. And so that's a real positive thing. He hit 3 of 5 of them in this game. But the thing that really stood out to me about Omax is his aggressive driving and attacking. His attacking off closeouts. If he's gonna stand in the corner, and he's gonna do this a lot for the Mavericks, if he plays any number of minutes for the Mavericks, he's going to be standing in the corner a lot. We've seen this a lot from Dorian Finney-Smith, from Reggie Bullock, from even Josh Green. We see them standing in the corner. And if you're standing in the corner and you get the ball, your only option can't be I shoot or I pass, right? That can't be your thing anymore in the NBA. Offenses are too good. Defenses are too good for that to be your only thing. You have to be so good shooting the ball that it just negates any other option, that you just have to shoot it and you just have to make enough threes. And the Mavericks did that leading up to the Western Conference Finals run a year ago, but they didn't this past year, and you see how it went. They have to have other options off of that. They have to have players that have other options off of that. Omax has that. He's aggressive, driving, and attacking. I don't know how much he's going to get away with this in the NBA, because he's still a little bit loose with his dribble and things like that, but I love to see it. And he's just a battering ram going to the rim. He doesn't get the ball that much. He finished with 10 free throw attempts. He played 33 minutes, which was awesome to see. Love to see those guys, those rookies get more minutes. Jared Dudley, Coach Dudley, man of his word, gave him more minutes each game now. Started with 16, 17, then it went to like 23, and now it's up to 33. But Omax driving, he's a battering ram. He gets fouled a ton going to the rim. And it's summer league. These guys are going to foul more often than NBA players. But Omax just has such long limbs. He drives real strong to the rim. And you just love that. You love to see that for a guy that doesn't get the ball very often, for him to get 10 free throws. It wasn't like he was, gets the ball at the top of the key. All right, set up the offense. Okay, run a pick and roll. Okay, you're getting fouled off of it. No, he's literally just getting fouled off of attacking closeouts. And the Mavs desperately need that. Omax also got whacked in the nose in this game late, and then he finished with an and one on the other end. Just love to see Omax just fight through some of this stuff. And then in the fourth quarter, the play that I think was his best play. Fourth quarter, the Warriors have the ball, and they're trying to save it out of bounds, and they chuck it up in the air. They're in the right corner. They save it out of bounds. Omax is turned towards the corner, and he sees the ball go over his head. And it's way over his head. He's not going to be able to catch it or even backpedal to catch it. He has to turn around to catch this ball. Omax turns around, and just like he realizes this while the ball's in the air. He turns around, and just like a wide receiver, he looks forward and just puts his arms out and catches it like a wide receiver fade. He just instinctively said, all right, I got to catch it this way, and he caught it. Just such a really smart play from him, which is why I'm so high on him being able to figure it out defensively early on because of how intelligent this guy is. The other thing about Omax is he's almost exclusively played the 4 for this summer league team. They don't have a ton of bigs, right? Marcus Bingham played a little bit in this game. They sat Chris Silva, so they gave other guys a chance. Braxton Key has been playing the 5 for them, which has kind of been weird. Braxton Key, incredible block, and then put back dunk to win this game. Great stuff from him. He missed 5 threes, but still had the game-winning dunk. So, hey, you give him credit for that. But Omax has exclusively played the 4 for this squad. And even the 5 a little bit he's played for the Summer League squad. I'm interested to see him play the 3 because I think he can do that for the Mavericks, because the Mavericks need a couple more guys like that. If Grant Williams is going to only play the 4, which I think he probably will, Maxey's going to play the 4, Omax has to be able to play the 3 a little bit. And so I'm interested to see how that transition goes for him. I expect that it's going to be fine for him. But I'm just interested in how that's going to work for him. So that's Omax. I loved his game today. Thought he stood out a lot, and he's just somebody that has a real chance to play some minutes for the Mavericks this year and should play. He's going to force Jason Kidd's hand early just by all the little stuff that he does, the way that he tips rebounds to himself, the way that he defends, the way that he does the little things in a game. I'm very excited for him, and I'm super excited to see this game. Coming up, let's talk about Dereck Lively. How did he have a two-way impact? What happened to Jaden Hardy and his struggles? Mike Miles, got to talk about him and more. We'll get into that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetterHelp. BetterHelp has you covered. BetterHelp will be able to help you talk through some things. If you need a therapist and you don't really know where to go. You're convinced on therapy. You say, okay, a lot of my friends are doing therapy. I'm hearing people, athletes, guys talking about doing therapy. I just don't know where to start. BetterHelp is a great way to do that because you can get help from BetterHelp entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. I've worked with BetterHelp before. I've done meetings with people from BetterHelp, and all you have to do, go to their website, you fill out a questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and then you can pick out which times in the week you want to meet. It only has to be once a week. You can do bi-weekly. You can do monthly if you want to. It doesn't have to be this huge commitment for you, but every once in a while, if you need someone to talk to, you need a therapist, you got something to work through in your life, everybody has these things. Let BetterHelp be that help for you. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com to get licensed therapist right there for you. Again, check it out. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, being part of the Raccoon Squad, and every day, or if you listen every day, love that. We talked about Max Prosper to start the show. He was awesome in this game. Dereck Lively, also awesome in this game. 11 points, 10 boards, 4 of them on the offensive end, 4 offensive rebounds. Had a couple of blocks, probably had 3. I don't know why they only gave him 2, but just turned away a ton of I mean, his impact around the rim cannot be overstated. It's just awesome to see a guy that big, 7'1", 7'7" wingspan, just turn away shots. And to be able to, there was a play early in this game. It was 5 minutes and 36 seconds in the first quarter. Lively turned back 3 different drives. So the Warriors are driving at him in all different ways. They say, all right, I'll get past my guy. And then they meet Lively at the rim and he goes, hi, it's me. Hi, I'm Dereck Lively at the rim. And they just turn around and go back. And they're like, oh, that's not an option. Let me turn around, reset. And they had to reset 3 different times. He's just a big deterrent at the rim, and you love to see it. And you love to see how much he thrives and wants to be in that role, and how much he wants to be that guy, and how much he wants to, be the big defender that communicates and all that kind of stuff. Nico Harrison spoke in the second quarter and specifically talked about Lively's communication. He said, yeah, his biggest asset is his length, but he also is one of the best communicators that we've seen, and he's going to be so valuable in Jason Kidd's system, defensively, to be able to run that, to be able to communicate with everybody else. It's going to be interesting for a rookie to do that, but I think he's going to do well at it because I think they'll embrace it because Luka and Kyrie are not going to care. They're not going to care that somebody else is stepping up as the leader defensively. Now, I don't know if he's not going to be able to call those guys out if they miss stuff. That's going to be on them. That's going to be on the other vets on the team. But for somebody to just call out what's happening in the moment, I think they're going to be okay with that. I think that's going to fly. And I think that's going to work for however much Lively does play. He was great in this one. Just his impact around the rim. Golden State only had 16 points in the paint in the first half. They had 34 total, so just not a ton of points in the paint for them, and they had a bunch of guys that were trying to get to the rim, trying to do stuff, and they just couldn't. And then the one thing about Dereck Lively that I'm really interested in, that I think this summer league team underutilizes, is Dereck Lively is a pick and roll big, and he can be a pick and pop big. They're doing almost none of that with this summer league team. They just don't have the guards that run stuff like that. I thought Mike Miles would be that, and we only saw a real Dereck Lively pick and roll and finish at the rim one time in this game. Fourth quarter, 8 minutes to go. It was a Mike Miles, Dereck Lively pick and roll. Lively got the and one finish. He's on the ground. He's laying down on the ground, looking up at the basket, and he does the and one with his finger, like count it. That was the only real pick and roll we saw from Lively and a guard. We just don't see, Jaden Hardy's not going to run it with him. We haven't seen a ton of Jelly Walker. Saw 18 minutes, I guess, in this game. And then Mike Miles, they weren't running it with him. That's going to be so different with the Mavericks. Luka's going to spam that over and over again. Kyrie is going to run that a ton, and he's going to be able to take advantage of it. He's got to work on screen setting. We've talked about that too much, but if he gets that down, then it's just going to be so much different because he's going to be able to finish all this stuff, and they're going to be able to get him better passes. They're going to look for him more. There's so many times these guys, they try to run pick and roll. They've tried to run pick and roll. Let me say that. They've tried to run some pick and roll with him. They just don't hit him at times when he's wide open, and Luka's going to be able to hit all those passes. Nobody else hits passes off a pick and roll like Luka does in that moment. And Lively's going to benefit from that immensely. Plus, Luka's gravity. His gravity is just bigger and better than a Mike Miles or a Jelly Walker or even a Jaden Hardy in Summer League. It's just going to be better than that. And so that's one aspect of Lively's game they still haven't even touched the surface of that I'm excited to see. Okay. Jaden Hardy started 0 of 4 from the field again. First half, he was 2 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, which is pretty good, but he finished the game 6 of 19, 1 of 9 from 3, 8 of 15 from the free. Just a really bad shooting game from Jaden Hardy. And last game, it was a really bad first half, finishes it up with a really good second half. Not sure we really got that in this game. 4 of 11 in the second half. He missed 5 free throws in the second half. It just wasn't a great game shooting the ball, and so I'm not really 100% sure where his head is right now. In the first game, again, he struggled in the Sixers game. He struggled in the first half, turned it on in the second half. Jared Dudley after the game talked about, he wasn't listening to the play calls. He was kind of in his feelings. He was kind of, he was down on himself. His body language wasn't good. I haven't seen Jared Dudley's comments post game about this one, but I'm very curious to see what he thought about Jaden Hardy's game. So I didn't think it was very good. I think he forced a lot of stuff, and they're trying to give him credit. They're trying to force things to him. He's not a point guard, but they're kind of playing him like it because they want him to develop those skills. They want him to, all right, how can we simulate him being the best player on the floor and running stuff through him to give him those reps? Because he's not the guard with the ball in his hands, pick and roll, run that stuff, run the offense in the NBA. He's way better off the ball, running around, catching stuff, and then scoring off of those plays. He has gotten 0 easy shots in this whole summer league. That's not to give him a pass, but he's gotten 0 of those. He got a bunch of those playing next to Luka and playing next to Kyrie. He got a bunch of those easy shots, and that gets him going, and then it helps, to hit some of those other shots too. He's getting none of that. He's creating all this himself. Again, not to give him a pass. I didn't think he had a great game in this one, but they're trying to develop him in that area. And so he's going to keep playing Summer League. So good. It's good for us to be able to get to watch him a little bit more and keep playing Summer League. But he hasn't looked like this dominant. Oh man, he is just so much better than everybody else on the court. There are flashes of it, and there's been times when he does look better than everybody else. This was not one of those games, I don't think. But who did step up in that was Mike Miles. He had Hardy finished with 21 points, but he was 6 of 19 from the field. So 21 points on 19 shots is not good. Mike Miles, 19 points on 11 shots. He hit 3 threes really early, didn't hit another one after that, but had a couple other really good plays, had 4 assists. One of those was the lively one that I talked about in pick and roll. And the one thing that Mike Miles said about his game before they even went to Summer League at practice, I asked him, what do you want to prove about your game? And he said, I want to prove that I'm a shooter, that I'm not just at TCU, I was this guy that had to fill it up, that had to drive and create my own offense and all that. He doesn't have to do that in the NBA, and he should be able to. He has to show other stuff in the NBA to prove himself, and so he wanted to show some of his off-ball shooting. Hits 3 threes really early. That's great. That really helped, and I'm very interested to see. I think Texas Legends games are going to be amazing with him. I think he's gonna play a lot like Hardy did last year. He's a little bit smaller than Hardy, and he's not as good of a shot creator as Hardy is. Yeah, right. And so that's going to be he's just a little different than Hardy. So if you're trying to ask, well, should he get rotation minutes? Should he be? I don't think so. I don't think he's ready for that just because of his size and because of his some of the limitations there. But the Texas Legends games with him are going to be fun, and let's see what he turns into. Let's see what he does with 1 year in the G League. And then he'll play spot minutes, I guess, for the Mavericks if there's a bunch of injuries or things like that. But Mike Miles stepped up. Love to see it. Love to see Mike Miles step up. Coming up, let's talk about Nico Harrison had a comment during the game about a Mavericks center, Richaun Holmes. He spoke to him, and Richaun Holmes said something to him that I found very interesting. Let's talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs have some great shorts, just some awesome shorts, some awesome joggers, some awesome pants that you can get And they fixed an issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but it stretches so to get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. They don't feel, super hot. It's the hottest day of the year in Dallas right now. I think it's 105, 107 out earlier today. It's just bad. It was really tough at Summer League too. But wearing Bird Dogs, it's great. They're light, but they still look good, and they give you that sculpted look. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA to enter the promo code LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti-style tumbler. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA or promo code LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti-style tumbler. Again, you won't want to take your Bird Dogs off, the shorts, the joggers, the pants, all kinds of stuff. Again, check it out, birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Isaac, let's get into the rest of what we saw in Summer League. Nico Harrison spoke in the second quarter. He said a couple of things. He talked about Dereck Lively's communication on defense. I mentioned that earlier. He also mentioned that when building a roster, he was asked about building around Luka and Kyrie. And he said, last year, we just had Luka to build around in the offseason. This year, they had Luka and Kyrie to think about and to build around. And I thought that was an interesting way to put it. Because, again, it does prove that they knew that they did know that Brunson was gone. Because they were only building around Luka at that point. But it also kind of showed their cards that they didn't really know how to build around just Luka. So now with a Kyrie as well, they're doing a lot better this offseason. The thing about Richaun Holmes, though, that stood out. So Nico Harrison talked about Richaun Holmes. And he said, Richaun Holmes told me, I've been in jail for a couple of years with the Kings, and I'm looking forward to getting out of that. And so Nico said, let's see what happens when he's released. He kind of has. He definitely was last year. He didn't fit with what Mike Brown wanted to do with their offense. He only played 8 minutes a game last year after playing 24 and 29 and 28 the 3 years before that per game. And so he just kind of sat the bench a bunch. He played 0 playoff games for them. They needed another center. They tried a bunch of different guys. They did not try Richaun Holmes at all. And this isn't a situation where he was just, oh, this guy, he sucks. He's as a person, right? Like, he sucks as a person. We don't want to deal with his personality. Everybody that you talk to said that he's a great guy. Love having him around. Great locker room guy. All that. I talked to Matt George about him a lot of Locked On Kings. And so it wasn't that. It was just that they didn't think that he fit. And so he was really put in, like Richaun Holmes said, he was put in jail for the Kings. And now he's going to be maybe released from that. And I'm really curious. I have no expectations for him, personally. I don't know what to expect. Did the Kings put him in this self-proclaimed jail because he wasn't good, or because he didn't fit what they wanted, or because when he was playing 23, 29 minutes a game, the Kings were winning like 30 games. I mean, when he was playing the most minutes, the Kings won 31, 31, and 30 games. Now, 2 of those were shortened season games, shortened season numbers. So 30 games isn't as bad. But still, a lot of it's not just on the Kings' talent. But I don't know what to expect. Like, all those numbers being said, I have no idea what to expect. None. Their defense in those 3 seasons was ranked 20th, 30th, and 27th, with Richaun Holmes playing the most minutes that he's played in his career. So I just don't know what to expect from him. I can't definitively say, all right, he'll come in and he'll be better than Dwight Powell for sure. Like, I can't say that. You may be able to say that. You may think that. You may feel like you know that for sure, that Richaun Holmes is going to be better than Dwight Powell. I don't know that. He's got a better push shot than Dwight Powell. I think he's a better rebounder than Dwight Powell, but not by a lot. You look at his per 36, and when he plays a bunch of minutes, it's like 10 rebounds a game. And that's not a lot for a center. Dwight Powell's per 36 as a center is like 8, 8, 7, 9, almost the same. So I don't know what to expect, but I did find it really interesting that Nico Harrison said that on live TV, that Richaun Holmes told him that the Kings put him in jail for the last couple of years, and he was excited to get out of it. Oh, man. The Grant Williams trade is official. I'm not getting to the NBA rules today. I can just tell. Push it back again, and you'll get to comment on it again and say, what happened to you talking about this? Well, I didn't get to it again. The Grant Williams trade is official. So we know now where everything's coming from and where everything's going. Dallas gets Grant Williams and 2 second-round picks. The 2 second-round picks come from the Spurs. I initially thought that they were the Spurs second-round picks, and I said, oh, man. Spurs giving up their own second-round picks means, and taking the Dallas swap, like the first-round swap that we already knew about, man, the Spurs are really betting on themselves. Turns out that they get a 2025 second-round pick from Toronto via the Spurs, and they get a 2028 second-round pick via Miami from the Spurs. So they're not necessarily as good. We think Toronto will be good in 2 years. Probably. Scotty Barnes will be 2 years older. OG Anunoby 2 years better. Miami's second in 2028 could be really good with Jimmy Butler getting older. Maybe they get Dame Lillard, but he'll be, oh my gosh, 2028. Damian Lillard will be 39 if they get Damian Lillard. So that one may be a good second-round pick, but they're not the Spurs second-round pick to where they'd be really valuable. And even the Spurs, if it was the 2028 second-round pick with Wemby, that's probably not as valuable. But that's where they're coming from at least. So either way, the Mavericks have 2 second-round picks now that they can trade. And so the Mavericks got Grant Williams, 2 seconds that I just mentioned, and they're sending out Reggie Bullock. We know he went to the Spurs. He got announced. They put the Spurs social media posted Reggie Bullock, like, welcome to the Spurs, Reggie Bullock. And it was just him standing there on the graphic with a Dallas jersey on. I do not know if I don't know if he has much time in San Antonio here because they didn't even do a Photoshop. Does the social media team know something? Put the Windy fingers up. Put the Brian Windhorst fingers up. Now, why would they do that? I have no idea. The Mavericks also send Reggie Bullock. They send out a 2030 first-round pick swap. So the Mavericks will have a first-round pick in 2030, but it'll either be theirs or the Spurs. And the Spurs get to decide which one they want. They also sent out a 2025 pick swap. It's like a second-round pick swap. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So I'm not going to try to tell you that I do. That second-round pick in 2025 for the Mavericks is tied up right now in the Porzingis trade still, because the Mavs still haven't sent out the last trade from the first Porzingis trade to the Knicks. And so they still have to send that one out. And so if they don't send it out next year, if they don't send it out this year or next year, it becomes a second-round pick in 2025. And so that's this pick that we're talking about. It's very confusing. But they send out a second-round pick swap somehow in 2025. Not going to pretend like I know why that is. And so that's the trade. And so it turns out it's still a very good trade for the Mavericks. You go from Reggie Bullock to Grant Williams. That's an upgrade in several ways that we've talked about. If you haven't listened to our Grant Williams episode, the Reggie Bullock to Grant Williams upgrade is this. If they're the same player, if they're the same exact talent, which they might be, Grant Williams is 7 years younger. That's a big upgrade. He's bigger. He's 6'6" instead of 6'5", and he is way bulkier. I mean, you saw him at Summer League sitting there looking like he's a fullback or a linebacker in the NFL. Not even a linebacker anymore. He'd be an edge rusher in the NFL. And he's a better three-point shooter early in the season. He's a better three-point shooter in October, November, December, for sure. And he was interviewed at Summer League a couple of times. And one time they said, what do you want to work on? He said, shooting off the move. That's an interesting one. That would be a lot different than what Reggie Bullock ever brought. And the Mavericks got 2 second-round picks out of it. So now they can use those in trades. The Spurs can't use that pick swap. They just get it. They can't use that in something else. They can't trade that pick swap somewhere. But the Mavericks can use the 2 seconds they got in this to acquire somebody else. So that's super exciting that the Mavericks can do that. So really good trade overall. The trade's now official. Grant Williams is a Maverick. He can officially comment and all that. And so because of that, Grant Williams is wearing the number 3, which was Jaden Hardy's number. But now Jaden Hardy's going to wear the number 1. And so now we have 4 players that are changing numbers technically. Grant Williams is going from the number 12 with the Celtics to now the number 3 with the Mavericks. Jaden Hardy's going from the number 3 to the number 1. Kyrie is going from the number 2 last year to the number 11. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is going from 11 to 10 this year if he stays on the Mavericks. So we've got a bunch of number changes for the Mavericks. And so that's where we are with that. That's the Grant Williams trade. That's the Dallas Mavericks Summer League. Let us know in the comment section what's one takeaway you had from the Mavs Summer League win against the Warriors. That's it for me this week. Isaac will continue to hang out with you on Locked On Mavs tomorrow. He'll also have the Summer League game for you against the Pacers. They got moved to 6 p.m. Texas time. That's on ESPN, one of them on ESPN. So he'll have you covered for that game on Friday. So we'll continue to be with you guys and to put out shows. So appreciate each and every one of you. We've had one of our best weeks that we've ever had this past couple of weeks for Locked On Mavs. It's been amazing. So thank you guys, everybody, the Raccoon Squad and everybody else for stepping up, listening every day, being an everydayer, and thank you for that. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.